everyone. This is Dorcas Chandler at dorcaschandler.com. Wow, it's been a couple of weeks, almost a month, that I've been online, but I just have been dealing with some great things, and I'm excited about what's going on in my life. And I think I said on the last video that I'm going to be retiring, and I'm grateful for that. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I knew that I was going to be writing and doing some of my songs and just different things like that. But what I found out by just trying to evaluate my behavior or my emotional state as it applies to rather how I see the world, I realize that you know what? You don't have to hide no more in fear to let people know who you really are. So, what I'm going to be talking about today is when you lose yourself, serving people without boundaries. When you lose yourself, serving people without boundaries. And I'm going to read just a little bit of my retirement announcement to you that's in my calendar. And I'm going to stop and talk a little bit about where I'm going with this. And hopefully that there's somebody out there that's listening that realize that we have to come to the point where we accept who we are and who God has made us. That is a really easy statement. And that's what I'm finding out. You know, words are powerful, but yet they're used sometimes so loosely. And at the age that I am now, I want to be careful. I want to be careful that my words have meaning, that my words don't offend people, and that my words are sincere, and that my words are honest. And if they're not, I need to reevaluate. And if I spoke to someone, I need to make sure that I get it right, or even be truthful to myself. I have not been truthful to myself because I have not understood myself. You see, I'm was born. I'm the fourth child of of two sisters and one brother, and I was the different child and could not understand why. And all of my life, up until 2 weeks ago, I just understand something. And so I want to read this to you. It's called Footprints of Grace, Serving People Without Boundaries. Here we go. What a blast life has been for me. You know, when I came into this world, my dad and mom had no idea of the journey that was up ahead for them. This 10-pound baby girl with a head full of curly black hair was here to rock their world. And she did. When I was first born, they brought a baby into my mother's room, and my mother looked down at the baby and told the nurse, "This is not my baby. My baby has a head full of curly black hair. You are giving me the wrong baby." What a great way for me to start life, right? Then they took the first baby back and came and said to my mom, "We're sorry for the mix-up, Miss Chandler. We did bring you the wrong baby." My mom looked down and looked at me and said, "Now this is my baby." The journey just began. I am in the hands of the right parents but needing a birth name. My dad and mom consented on naming me after my dad's mother. I know that had to be my father's idea. With all of the love my grandmother and mother had for each other down through the years. So they named me Cecilia. Then here comes this lady getting all in the gravy about my name. She looked at me in the hospital and asked my mother, "What is this child's name?" My mother said Cecilia. The dear soul told my mother, "Oh no, this child is not Cecilia. This child's name is Dorcas. She is to be named Dorcas after Dorcas in the Bible." Acts the 9th chapter verse 36 to 42. They agreed and changed my first name from Cecilia to Dorcas. I have been asked thousands of times or more one or two questions regarding my name. One, with great sarcasm, they said, "What kind of name is that?" That's number one. Two, who in the world would name a child Dorcas? And the beat goes on. I grew up ashamed of my name. I was bullied and laughed at, etc. But today, after God has honored me to live on this earth for over 65 years, I take great honor for having great parents like Garland and Alma Chandler, who changed my name and my destiny. God knew my name. He knew my character, achievements, temperaments, and the footprints I would be making in this life before I came into this world. I declare I am unashamed and grateful to be Dorcas Cecilia Chandler. God has graced me to be an overcomer and has given me many gifts and talents. I have had a wonderful life in spite of every roadblock, setback, challenges, and life's disappointments to just keep going on. I'm going to stop right there with the reading. If you want the calendar, you can get it. It'll be out in September. But I stop right there because that's just the beginning of the saga. You see, when I was born and they took me home, I developed a lot quicker than a lot of children would. And my mom, as she tells the story to me before she died, she said, "Dorcas, you were a child that I never understood. You weren't like your other two sisters and your brother. You wouldn't let me embrace you like I could your other brother and sisters." She said to me, "You wanted to be left alone. You would lay down in the crib and you just wanted to be changed and fed." And she said, one day she came and she was looking and I was just a little baby and here I was standing up in the crib. And she's trying to figure out what kind of child is this. And then she went back to work after a few months and she took me to the nursery, and this is her account. And she said, one day when she came back from the nursery, I was walking. And she said, "What in the world is happening? Who is this child?" So I've always had a different behavior. And it was different from my brothers and sisters. And because my mother could not understand the behavior that I had. It always caused me to differently. I was the different one. I was the one that couldn't understand my own brain. I couldn't understand why I did some of the things that I did. I couldn't understand why I could understand some of the things that I could understand. I couldn't understand how I could get bored so quick. Anything you taught me, as long as I was learning, I was excited. But as soon as I learned that thing, I was bored to death. That even happened to me in junior high, in preschool, in junior high, in high school, and even in college. Once I got it, I'm sitting in the class, but I'm really not there. My mind would be somewhere else. Now, so what are you telling us this for, Dorcas? I'm telling you this because when we lose ourselves and don't really understand who we are, we try to identify or become someone else. You don't know how many times I would say, I wish I was normal. I would sit out on the curb of our home and I would say, I wish I was like my brother and my sisters. What is wrong with me? So I grew up as there's something wrong with me. And then I had friends growing up. Dorcas, how do you know that? How do you know how to do that? So I was always singled out. And when you single me out, even right now, it makes me feel like there's something wrong with me. And it's simply because as we get into this and as I retire and I'm going to write my last novel, and that novel is going to be called The Gifted Child. The Gifted Child. Because you see, for all these years, I'm known after the 3rd grade, but I hid it because I didn't want people to think that I thought that I was smarter than them. Do you know gifted really doesn't have anything to do with smart? It's just how that the brain has either matured early or there's something going on inside of the brain. Do you know that I only went to college and studied psychology because I was in search of trying to find out who Dorcas Chandler was. I knew I was different and I didn't want to be. I knew I could understand things, but I didn't want to. I knew I could hear things in my mind. This is how you do it, and it would work out. The gifted child. And there's so many people out there that have so many gifts and talents. And because we have not been channeled in the right way, we have lost ourselves. What are people going to say about me when they know that I really am different, but I'm really not? Because we're really all one. We just think differently. What are they going to say? Are they going to say, you're crazy? You know, people sometimes think that you're stupid when you're gifted. They look on you and they say, what? You know why? Because you're not thinking and processing information like they process information. I, as an older adult, was watching PBS the other night, a couple weeks ago rather, and they were talking about the gifted child. And I said, oh, I want to watch this. And as I watched it, this is where I got the insight of who Dorcas Chandler really is. Because they said they were talking about the emotional state of a gifted child. I said, wow. Now here I have been studying the brain. You don't know how many times I've come here in my office and turned on my computer and went looking for psychologists and studied on the internet about the brain. I was trying to find out what is wrong with my brain. Why am I like this? Why can I understand things that I never went to school for? I never went to school for. How can I take a computer apart and put it together and never studied that? How can I mix music and have never ever been involved in that? How do I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm writing in the middle of the night? Why do I write on my sheets? You know, I used to write on my sheets because I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would hear a song, or I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would hear something to write and I would write it down. I'm trying to go somewhere with this. When we lose ourselves, no matter whether we're gifted or not, and we become victims of our internal emotions, it can cause us internal turmoil. I have been tormented for who I was for all of my life because I just wanted one thing. I want two things. I wanted someone to love me for who I was, and I wanted to be accepted. I have never felt accepted just for who I am. I always feel like I have to prove myself. I have to always feel like I have to tell you that I'm sorry. I have to always feel like there's something wrong. You did something wrong, even when I didn't do something wrong. So I went out after I watched the PBS special, and before that they were asking, will a gifted child ever grow out of the behavior? And the psychologist said no. When she said no, tears began to run down my face, because that's all I ever dreamed of is, God, will you let me be like everybody else before I leave this world? I'm sorry. But if that's who God has made me, I have to accept it. And sometimes people don't understand me because I am an intense thinker. I don't, you could say the to somebody and it just means the. You could say the to me and I'll say, I wonder why they said the. When you're an intense thinker, things are different. You see the world differently. Words mean to me something totally different. Just wanting to be accepted. When we have to understand, if I'm talking to someone gifted or someone different or someone that don't understand themselves, it does not matter who I'm talking to. But if we can only realize this, we are accepted. You know who the first person that has to accept me is me. And I went back to my book. Face yourself. Accept yourself. Transform yourself. And God was just letting me see, you are in the stages of accepting yourself. You got to come out and tell people who you really are. It's more being ashamed of being Dorcas Chandler. I am Dorcas Chandler, and I'm gifted. I didn't choose it. I wouldn't have chosen it. I promise you I wouldn't have. Because this comes with a lot of emotional adjustments that have to be made, because the world looks for the norm and not the person that has differences. So what am I saying? I'm getting ready to retire. This is where I'm going. And every month I'm going to be talking a little bit about my retirement, and because at the end of the year I'm going to retire and I'm going to write my story. And I'm just going to write. And then once I write my story, I hope that it will help some child, some adult, some person that is gifted and don't think like everybody else, that don't process information like everybody else, to know. Don't wait as long as Dorcas Chandler waited to really find out who she was. She was studying the brain, and that's good. How the brain operates, and that's good. But you need to study the emotion that's controlling the brain. I just found that out. I've been studying it. And when I study it, I weep and I cry. Oh God, that's me. That's why my third grade teacher, when she called my school, said, Dorcas, I knew there was always something different from you because I could see it in your eyes. Every time you would answer a question, you would answer it differently. And so when she said that, she was celebrating me. But then I said, oh my goodness, there I am, being pointed out differently. You're just like your father. Differently. How do you know how to fix computers? Differently. You're just different. And you had nothing to do with it. When we lose ourselves and our identity of who we are and change it for wanting to be somebody else, we are serving people without boundaries. We are wanting to be like somebody else instead of being like ourselves. My goodness. We got to be who we are. We got to be who God made us. And I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to need to do this at least until December. My calendars are out for being proofread right now. And as soon as I get them back, hopefully they will be ready to go to print. And I will have them completed by September. And I will be giving them out September through December. And then after that, I'm going to focus on who Dorcas really is. And I'm going to really tell my story. I'm going to be raw and truthfully about the struggles and the pain of being different from somebody else. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing when we can understand that God has made all of us. And really, you know what, really? All of us are really unique, special, and different in our own way. When we can change our thinking, we can change our destiny. But as long as we're searching, we miss our destiny because we don't know who we are. You know what? And I was watching something last night, and I was watching about a writer, a black writer, and one thing she said was that I always used to say I write. She never would claim who she really was. But then one day she said, I am a writer. And do you know what? I am Dorcas Chandler. I am a writer. That's why I wake up in the middle of the night and write. That's why writing means so much to me, because I, Dorcas Cecilia Chandler, I am a writer. And I'm not going to continue to squish or lose my identity based upon what somebody else thinks or say. And I know you guys love me, but it's based upon what somebody think or say. It's because of what I'm thinking and what I'm saying to myself. Hey, I love you guys. And if nobody have told you on this day that they love you, let me tell you this. Dorcas Cecilia Chandler loves you, and she wishes the best for you. The very best. Blessings. Have a great and wonderful week. dorcaschandler.com. You can always email me. Just look for my email, dorcaschandler@gmail.com. That's a good one. And you can always email me and ask me questions about me. Because I'm honest and right today, I have been set free. Blessings.